Welcome to the Stockboy Gaming channel, where we're going drag racing today. Realistic-ish drag racing in GTA Online. It's going to be fun. We've got some split screens coming, really good matchups you're going to want to see. Plus, at the end, I'm going to show you real drag times for all these cars. I've corrected them, so if you've seen this before, there was some issues with the Rockstar editor in the new version of the game. I had to redo some stuff on my spreadsheet, but now I've got real times again, so these cars are going to be even faster than you think. First up, though, we're going to do the losers. These guys didn't quite make the top 8, but we're going to show you the ASTRON Custom on the left and the Sentinel XS on the right. And that ASTRON Custom is really quick, as you're going to see here. It smokes the Sentinel on the way to that 8th mile line. We're going to quarter mile today, though. It's going to keep that gap. The Sentinel is much faster than the original. That ASTRON Custom is just really, really quick. Doesn't quite crack the top 8 though. These are some of those matchups that I want to show you. We've got modern cars on the left, classic-ish cars on the right, because, you know, that bottom pairing, the Arbiter against the Turismo Classic, are going to be two classics, but then the other ones are kind of GTA classics. I wanted to show you the Deveste Eight versus S95. There's some really good racing in here, so make sure you stick around to the end. First up, we've got a big battle, the Banshee versus the Hakuchi Drag. And you might be thinking, Stockboy, you've lost your damn mind, but I promise you, this is gonna be a good one. The Banshee is a lot faster than you would expect. Going to that 8th mile line first, can it keep up with the Hakuchi Drag? Not quite, but that gap is not that big when you consider what these two are. It does lose on the way to the quarter mile, but the Banshee is fast. Don't sleep on the Banshee. You'll see why at the end of the video here. Going into our next race of the first round, the S95 and the brand new Deveste Eight. I don't care, I call them both. This is an awesome race. We've got supercar versus sports car. GTA doesn't always make a whole lot of sense when it comes to this, but we got the Deveste Eight going to that 8th mile line first by about 100th of a second. Barely gets there. Can it keep that gap? It can't. The S95 actually passes it on the way to the quarter mile, so a lot of people love the S95, and there's good reason for it. It's really fast, and you just saw that here. Rockstar continues with their very strange logic about having sports cars faster than supercars, but we love the S95. It's a lot of fun to drive. How about Weaponized Ignis versus Cyclone 2? Both of these are new supercars, and oh my land, so you might notice that car on the right just takes off. It is so fast to the 8th mile. The original Cyclone used to be the fastest in the game. The Cyclone 2 looks like it wants to challenge that thing. That is unbelievably fast to the 8th and quarter mile. Weaponized Ignis goes down in the first round. So we're going to our true classics from this update here. Arbiter GT on the left, Turismo Classic on the right. I'm excited for this one. You'll notice first thing, I don't do wheelies because I can't do wheelies, one, the way that I'm testing, but also it's not consistent. The Gaudi Turismo Classic does beat the Arbiter GT to that 8th mile line, and it's going to keep that gap all the way to the quarter mile. That new Turismo Classic is really fast, but the Arbiter GT is too, and I'll explain more on wheelies later in this video when I'm showing you the quarter mile times. But that's our first round, and so far we've got some big matchups that have already happened and some big matchups coming up. We saw how fast that S95 is. Can it keep up with the Cyclone 2? We saw how fast the Hakuchi was, but that Turismo Classic looked really quick as well. Which one of these guys are going to head on to that next round in the finals? Let's find out. Let's see just how good these cars are. The S95, surprising, very fast against the Deveste Eight. Can it keep up with this new Cyclone 2? Heading off the line, you see this Cyclone 2 absolutely rips off the line, and that S95 is way behind. It's going to dominate this race all the way to the quarter mile, but don't let that give you a negative impression of the S95. I promise it's fast. It's just this Cyclone 2 right now is on another level. There's another car, maybe a bike in here that seems to be on another level based on what we've seen so far, so let's see how these two stack up. The Turismo Classic might be a bit of a surprise, but it's an awesome car, one of my favorite cars in real life. And the Hakuchi Drag again on the right, going to that 8th mile line. Hakuchi has a big advantage, not quite as big as we saw in our last race, but it is going to carry that all the way through to the quarter mile. So we've got our two fastest vehicles so far from this How Special Works update. And if you've seen my videos before, you knew that was coming. But I'm going to show you the Hakuchi drag when it leans after this race, so make sure you stick around. I got a lot of crap for that, so we got 2 different races coming in this final round, so you can see some different results. Or maybe not, you're just going to have to stick around and see how these two stack up against each other. Both of these are monsters. They've both basically annihilated everything on their way here. Will the Hakuchi drag take down the Cyclone 2? That initial acceleration is just so brutal on the left. And you can see the Cyclone does beat it to the 8th mile. The gap is the smallest we've seen yet. Can the Hakuchi catch up? It cannot. Oof, man, that is still a pretty sizable gap. Okay, here we go. Well, Stockboy, you're not leaning on the Hakuchi. That makes a huge difference, right? So, I've been doing this long enough to know that's about to come up in the comments. Let's check out how this bike does against the Cyclone when we're leaning forward. I won't do wheelies. I'm never going to do wheelies, but I will do this. You see, once we get to that 8th mile line, the Cyclone still has a big lead, and when we go down to the 1/4 mile, it's still got a lead. It's maybe getting close a little bit by that Hakuchi though. This is where it makes the difference with leaning. You'll see as we go to the 1/2 mile line, they're basically tied, but this is a 1/4 mile video. That means the Cyclone 2 is by far our winner in this test, in this tournament, whatever you want to call it. That Cyclone 2 has acceleration like we have never seen in GTA. Almost a 7-second 1/4 mile. I mean, holy crap, that's unbelievable. The Hakuchi drag is in the 8s. And if you watched my original Hakuchi video, my rant, you saw that I said that bike needs to be in the 8s. That was one of the reasons I was unhappy with it originally. This is awesome to see. 2 cars in the 8s, that's unreal. The S95, Banshee, and Deveste Eight all so close, and really that weaponized Ignis not too far off. After that, you see they drop a bit. The Sentinel is pretty slow, but it's much faster than the original. And you'll see on the bottom there what I promised you. With wheelies, it's not as consistent, but you can typically shave about a 1/2 second to 0.8 seconds off of these times. Using that, you can do a little bit of math and see where the Arbiter GT might land. But you're not going to get consistent pass times like I do with these cars. If you do things that way, there's a huge variance, and I can typically get these down to about 1/100th of a second, maybe even 1,000th of a second setbacks. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content in the future, and let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear from you down there. Thanks again for joining today, and I hope to see you next time.